Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriella Bernardo. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator at the Sault Ste. Marie Chamber of Commerce. At the Chamber, we have started a new initiative called the Chamber Chat Series. The idea behind these Chamber Chats is to sit down with local business owners for an interview-style meeting where we ask them questions about not only the business, but about themselves as well. After we have completed these chamber chats, we will be publishing them to our social media and our YouTube channels for the public to see. With the growing role of technology, we believe that personal connections are more important than ever. And through this series, we aim to showcase the faces and the voices that make our business community and membership so strong. So with that being said, today we will be sitting down with the founder of Language Artisan, Holly Holmes.
Hi,
Holly. How are you doing today?
I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for having me on Chamber Chat. I'm really excited to talk to you today.
I'm so excited as well. Before we get started, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. I'm so excited to learn more about yourself and your business.
Well, thank you. I am the owner of Language Artisan Grant Consulting, and that means I'm a consultant grant professional. So just like you said, I am often behind a screen by myself. So it is really exciting to get here in this space and be able to chat with you. So I specialize in helping nonprofits and small businesses identify good fit funders and develop competitive grant applications. And right now I'm serving clients in both the US and Canada and more here in the Soo. So my core service is grant writing, and most days I'm here in my home office researching different funders for my clients, analyzing how their priorities align with the work my clients do, and crafting persuasive applications to hopefully win those funds. But I also provide other types of consulting services. So a few weeks ago, I facilitated an all-day strategic planning retreat for a local client. And then earlier this year, I helped a nonprofit in Edmonton kind of rethink how they measure their overall impact of their services on the community. And that's really for a funder perspective to be able to talk about the great work that they're doing. But for myself, I was born and raised in Wisconsin and went to school in Michigan, where I met my husband. And together we went to grad school at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And after that, we were fortunate to have the opportunity to live in Brazil for 2 years, and then England for 4 years, and then most recently Tucson, Arizona. So my husband, Matt Warnock, and I moved here from 2022. He's a Sioux native, and we're really excited to be in the community.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you in the community. I'm just curious, what inspired you to start your business?
Oh, thank you. So before Language Artisan, I worked in 2 really great nonprofit leadership roles. And then before that, the name Language Artisan is really a nod to my original training as a musician and as a certified translator. When I was living in Brazil, I became fluent in Portuguese and eventually became certified to translate. So artisan is a word we don't use so often anymore, but it's the idea that working with language is a craft and that it takes care and dedication. So before moving here, I was the director of operations for a national nonprofit that offered free year-round arts education programming to underfunded public schools in the US. And we helped certified teachers who had no prior training in guitar to create guitar classes. And the idea was to attract the kids in school that were sort of least connected and kind of the least talented in their regular classes to really engage them in that class and make them excited about being in school. So in that role, I managed a staff of 32, including 28 amazing teaching artists teaching in classrooms in 6 US states across all 4 time zones. I was also responsible for communications with our more than 60 plus public school partners. I was the primary bookkeeper of the organization, and I spent probably 40 or 50% of my time writing grants to ensure that our music services were 100% free to schools and to the kids participating in them. So all of that said, that grant writing experience I thought could be a thing that I could offer to multiple organizations, and that I was really excited about leveraging those skills I had learned for small businesses and nonprofits here in the Soo.
Awesome. That's great. And you mentioned your grant writing services. through those grant writing services, I'm sure you've helped local organizations and community members bring their ideas to life. I'm wondering, what is it like for you to play a part in projects that have made a real impact in our community?
Oh, my goodness. Well, so incredibly rewarding. I mean, it's rewarding, first of all, to be entrusted with putting someone's work in your own words. I think that's the hardest thing for an organization, to kind of let go of the reins a little bit and see what their ideas can do in another person's hands. But really, it's because I truly love what I do. I often meet leaders who truly hate grant writing, and they use that word hate. And I get it. It can be really intimidating staring at a blank page, especially when you have 500 other things to do. But for me, grants aren't the paperwork, because I can see the end game and what they can become. So last month was really exciting. I helped a new client in Florida win just over $300,000 to double their classroom space for their apprenticeship program. And they had never applied for a grant before. And I just remember that first meeting, them talking about sort of other apprenticeship programs that they know, their peers, and they were winning these grants, and they, felt like under pressure they needed to dive in and try it. So that was incredibly satisfying to be able to call them and say they could go out and buy the materials, they could schedule the contractors, they could start recruiting for new apprentices. Yeah, super rewarding.
Of course. Yeah, that's just an amazing story. I love that. That actually warmed my heart. That is so sweet. Awesome. And you also mentioned that you have a background in music and in lyrics. How have those creative experiences shaped the way that you work and express yourself now with your business?
Yes. So originally, like I said, I was trained as a musician. I was a jazz singer and had my own quartet for 8 years. It's actually how I met my husband. We met on stage. He's a jazz guitarist. But I think songwriting taught me to choose every word with intention and to really write in a way that is going to captivate the listener. And I think the same goes for writing grants. Writing for a funder means I have to know that funder's desires, their needs, why they're choosing to invest their money in someone else. It's a big deal to entrust your money with another organization. In lyric writing, beyond the creativity of telling a story, and it's always fun to talk about the creative part, but there are a lot of mechanics going on in the background that have to line up, down to the vowels you choose on long notes have to match the emotion or the message you're trying to communicate. And I think in grant writing, what that looks like is, beyond telling a compelling story, you also have to have the data and the story of the budget that goes with it to back up what you're talking about. It can't all be about creativity. So as a former director of operations, I produced all of the financial documentation and led my organization through its annual audit. I know budgets. So a classic mistake that a lot of organizations make is that they get so caught up in telling their story and talking about who they serve that they forget to talk about the amazingly qualified and experienced staff that make it all happen. They forget to talk about how secure they are in their budget and operations, and that's actually attractive to funders. They want to know that their investment is safe. So you may not have imagined I was going to talk about budgets in relation to lyric writing, but the way I see them connected is that beyond creativity, you have to have the mechanics to back it up.
Right. Of course. It's always nice to have that balance, for sure. And this is more of a fun question, but out of all the songs that you've worked on, I want to know what one is your favorite and why.
Favorites are always so tough to pick. Gosh. Well, I think my favorite experiences are often the ones that are the most challenging. I don't know if I could pick a favorite song, but I could tell you about a favorite project. Was one where I was translating song lyrics from Portuguese to English, which already is kind of an amazing concept. One you might think is not possible, but it is. A dear friend of mine is a Brazilian guitarist and songwriter and writes some of the most creative and beautiful jazz-influenced pop music. And he was born in New Jersey, but moved back to Brazil with his family at the age of 2. So he sort of always had this fantasy of coming back to the US with his music. And I helped him translate a collection. Well, we call it transcreate because nothing's ever like a literal translation. So it's a transcreation of a collection of his music, 5 or 6 songs from Portuguese into English, so that he could do his first US tour in 2021. And it was hugely satisfying. I wasn't able to get there because it was just after COVID, so there were some restrictions in place. Wasn't as large of a tour as he would have wanted to do, but he had a lot of bilingual audience members show up, and a lot of them said some really wonderful things about being able to capture his voice and the character of his songs. So it was a really, really fun project.
That's a really nice story. Oh my goodness. That's so cool. You have so many, like, I could listen to you talk all day. I feel like you have so many stories to tell. This is so awesome.
Done a lot of different things.
Yeah, for sure. All right. And I know that you mentioned that you worked in various parts of the world. I'm wondering what made you decide to do business here in Sault Ste. Marie?
Well, I think, the pandemic changed a lot of trajectories for a lot of people, right? I've lived in a lot of larger cities. So Tucson has over 1 million people. Manchester, England is one of the larger cities there. I lived in Belo Horizonte, Brazil, a city of 6 million and probably larger than that at this point. But I'm from Stevens Point, Wisconsin, which is about 40,000 people. I love smaller cities. I always have. I just feel more at ease here. I missed the Great Lakes, as stunning as Tucson, Arizona is, cactus and monsoons. I just missed our beautiful trees, even the snow, but most of all our families. We've been so far away for so long. For me, I think smaller cities can be challenging for small businesses and nonprofits, but the advantage is you can see the impact up close of what you're doing. And I've found, at least so far, the community here is so generous with collaboration. So what I do notice here is sort of a constant struggle between pride and shame for being a small town. And I think people need to move beyond that a little bit. I want to be someone that helps show the Sioux that there's a lot to be proud of here.
For sure. For sure. I think for me personally, I think the Sioux is amazing. I've been born and raised here. I love it here. It has so much to offer, and I feel like not everybody knows that. Like, some people don't realize that it just has so much to offer. We're just so happy to have you in our community, really and truly. And I'm glad that you see it the way that I see it. It's amazing.
I love to hear you say that, and especially as a young person here, to be really fired up about your community. I think it's something really special.
100%, for sure. And we're down to our last few questions here, but what's next for Language Artisan? Are there any new exciting projects or any goals on the horizon?
Yes, so much going on always. So one of the things I'm working on right now is I'm a member of the Grant Professionals Association. So that's the membership organization for people in the grants field. And I've made some really strong friendships at the Canadian chapter. And a colleague and I are challenging each other to sit the Grant Professional Certification exam next year. There are currently only 4 Canadians with that credential, and we intend to be numbers 5 and 6, or at least I intend to be number 5. And I've also just recently applied for Canadian citizenship. So I'm going to say, let's give her on the study group, buddy.
Oh my God, that's so exciting.
Yeah, so I'm studying for that.
Yeah.
Kind of. Mostly your experience speaks for it, but I have some areas for review in terms of like federal grants that I want to work on. But then locally, I'm really excited about a couple of funding streams through the NOHFC. So there's a new one that came out earlier this summer, and it's aimed at supporting communities with populations under 30,000 people. So that's our surrounding communities, Blind River, Bruce Mines, Thessalon, Prince Township, to help brainstorm on strategy and approach for those interested in the Rural Enhancement Program. I would love to work with municipalities. It's open to Indigenous communities, nonprofits. It's a really exciting stream to open up right in this moment. It can be hard to keep small communities vibrant, and that's one source of being able to do that. And then there's a second opportunity that I think is totally underutilized here in the Sioux, the Workforce Development Program. And so for the rest of 2025, I'm going to be offering a grant writing service tailored for that program. And so if businesses or nonprofits are interested, I hope they'll check it out and give me a call.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what I've heard, we work closely with local businesses, obviously, and I've heard so many people talk about these grants and like they don't know where to start. So this is so awesome to hear. I will definitely be keeping you in mind when someone else reaches out to me about this. So that's great. Awesome. And then those are all of my questions for you today. But before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to mention to our audience?
Yeah, I would just say the places to find me. So for chamber
Yeah.
members, you can find my profile on the chamber website, and I'm going to have a little ad coming up pretty soon about that special grant writing package for the People and Talent Program, the Workforce Development Program. But you can also find me on my website, Language Artisan, if you can dare to spell the word artisan in this day and age, ARTISAN, languageartisan.com. And I just started a little section on the contact page where you can book an appointment with me. So I'd love to chat about your needs and see how I can help.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to link all of your socials and everything in the description of this video too.
Fantastic.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's everything for today. Thank you so much again for taking the time, Holly. It was so great getting to know you and Language Artisan. And we're looking forward to seeing what's next for you and your business. It's going to be so fun. Like, I could listen to you talk all day. I feel like you have so many stories. You're just, oh, jack of all trades. I love it.
Thanks so much, Gabriella. I'd love to chat again. Let's check in a year or so. And
100%. Yeah. Thank you so much.
thank you.